Since we have talked about a 5G RAN infrastructure, let's look at 5G core. So if you take a 5G core, you will have different networking elements, similarly like what you have in a 4G core, right? So if you take a 4G core, that is an EPC, you will have different networking elements like, MME, HSS, P gateway or S gateway. Similarly, in a 5G core infrastructure, you will have different networking elements like AMF, UPF, PCF, SMF. But all these networking elements in a 5G core will be made up of different principles, right? So let's look at what are the key principle that is used to build a 5G core infrastructure. So the first principle is the 5G core infrastructure should be a cloud native architecture, which means networking elements or networking functions that makes the core elements of a 5G core should be virtualized or containerized and should be managed by a centralized software or a controller. The second key principle behind a 5G core infrastructure is it should be a service-based architecture, right? Which means each networking function should talk to the other networking functions in a 5G core by using a API. This allows you to easily scale up and scale down the networking functions in a 5G core, right? Now, the service-based architecture will make sure that the core function will be registered to a directory that can be discovered by the other networking elements, right? So the basic concept of a service-based architecture is that it uses APIs to talk to each other in a 5G core infrastructure. Now, the third and the main principle of a 5G core architecture is basically it is segregating the control plane from the data plane, which means there will be networking elements used only for signaling traffic, that is for the control plane, and there will be networking elements within the 5G core infrastructure that will be only used for the data plane, right? So if you take a 5G core infrastructure, it's made up of three key principles. One is cloud native architecture, one is it should be service-based architecture, and the third one is the segregation between the control plane and the data plane. So next videos, we will basically look at what are each functions of a 5G core.